Hey, welcome to the Cheap Air Gunner channel. It's Cherokee Steve, and something came yesterday in the mail. It's a 24-inch Crosman barrel. As much as I was complaining that I hadn't received it yet and fully expected to have had received it in the amount of time between when it had shipped and yesterday, apparently there just wasn't any updating to the tracking information. So I've got it. I polished the outside of it, and what I've decided to do is try it out and install it on my 2289 backpacker. At this particular juncture, out of the three Crosman carbines that I have, the 2289, the KT-CO2, and the KT-HPA, the gun that is shooting with the most power, the highest velocity, is the 2289 backpacker. So the other consideration I took was the fact that all I had to do was open up the barrel port to 157 to match all of the ID of the ports already in the 2289. I didn't have to do, I don't want to do anything to the chamfer around the barrel port, since I'm using a stock stock transfer port on the 2289. The ID of it has been opened up, but it is a modification to the stock transfer port. It doesn't have the refrigerator waterline tubing that I've used on the HPA, which requires a larger chamfer. So at this particular point, I don't have to do any more modding to the barrel. If at some point I decide that I do want to try this out on the 2289, if at some point I decide I do want to try this out on the KT-HPA, then that's really all I would have to do at that point, is open up and make the chamfer larger for a better seating surface for the refrigerator waterline tubing I'm using as a transfer port in that particular gun, which very well may be the case after I get the brass breech in, get that installed on the HPA. I kind of, I want to see some definite increases in velocity back up to where it once was, up to close to, if not surpassing, 800 feet per second. At that particular point, if I can achieve that, I definitely, probably, I most likely will be trying the 24-inch barrel on that. But for right now, I just want to do it on the 2289. So let me get to removing the 14.5-inch barrel and installing this on the backpacker. Okay, so it didn't take long at all. Pretty much, it's just loosening up the barrel band, loosening up the front breech screw, the little tiny one, being careful not to strip it out underneath the bolt, and then the back one, that's right about here. Lifting it up gently, it will angle up away from the transfer port, backing it out and loosening up this grub screw and just removing the breech, sliding the barrel out that way, and doing the opposite and replacing it with the 24-inch barrel. So now that it's installed, let's see what kind of velocity numbers we can get with this. And again, I've, modified it. So I will go up to 40 pumps and see what we can get. So as you can see, 40 pumps with the 2289 and the 24-inch barrel got me 748 feet per second. Now that's with the Falcon 13.43 grain pellets. And I've been going back through my notes from when I shoot and use various amount of pumps in different pellets and write down velocities. The last record I can find with the 2289 shooting those particular pellets, the Falcon 13.43 grain, and of course with a 14.5-inch barrel, I was getting 700 feet per second. So it has gone from 700 up to 748. That 748 with that pellet translates to 16.7 foot-pounds of energy. Now, I do have quite a few notes recent with the 2289 where I was shooting the Beeman lighter pellets that I have. Those are 12.65 grain. I was able to get up to, according to my records, a high of 758 feet per second. So let's see what I can get with a 24-inch barrel and the 12.65 Beemans, okay? Did see an increase with the 13.43 grain Falcons. So that's 772 feet per second with a 12.65 grain pellet. That calculates out to 16.74 foot-pounds of energy. The fastest velocity I was able to get using the 14.5-inch barrel was 755 feet per second. So I'm seeing close to a 20 foot per second increase on the velocity with the 24-inch barrel. Now I'm going to do one more thing, since back in the day sent me those 11, I believe they're 11.9 grain RWS hobby pellets, the wad cutters. I think I'm going to try those through here just for kicks, see what kind of velocity I can get with that really light pellet, and do a little bit of a summary after this, some decisions I've already made in regards to this 24-inch barrel. So, pretty cool. 11.9 grain hobby RWS hobby pellets got me 786 feet per second. Now that translates out to 16.33 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. So getting back to what I was saying about some of the decisions I made, I'm not going to be keeping the 24-inch barrel on this particular gun. It's just too long. It makes the gun, in my opinion, feel actually kind of clumsy. It is noticeably more heavier towards the front of the gun. What I also noticed was accuracy. I'm not even hitting paper that I'm aiming at, let alone a bullseye on a target. So it definitely affects the accuracy of the gun. That would definitely have to be tweaked in, which isn't a big deal. I'm just noticing that it is a fact to be noted that I have taken this particular dot sight off of this gun and remounted it between going from my 14.5-inch barrel. If you remember, I did try out an 18-inch barrel on the 2289, but went back to the 14.5, and the dot sight tended to repeat extremely closely to where it originally was sighted in, and not much of a difference between a 14.5 and 18-inch barrel, but between a 14.5 and a 24-inch barrel, I'm sure there's more barrel droop involved. I'm sure the line of sight through the dot sight needs to come up. But just to note that the increase I'm seeing in velocity and foot-pounds of energy, I'm capable of getting over 14 foot-pounds of energy from 40 pumps and a 14.5-inch barrel. Now to go up to 16.5, based on what I want to use the gun for, which is squirrel hunting, the trade-off between the length of the barrel and the ease of carrying it around, and I'm noticing a much clumsier feel just shooting it down here in my basement. I'm not even trying to maneuver through any trees or bushes or anything. I'm sure it would translate into, even a more awkward feeling carrying it around out in the woods versus down here in my basement. So most likely I am going to be putting the 14.5-inch barrel back on here. I most definitely will be doing some modification to the chamfer on the barrel port, and having made the decision I made, and having this be, if it is going to be used, specifically only for the KT HPA. So we'll get back and do any shooting and or findings I make with the 24-inch barrel on the KT HPA. Good?